We're learning Le'ilu Nishmas. It's not like Rav Shimon Elazar, the Tanya. Klalom Rav Shimon Elazar, Kol she'eino kosher latzniya. If there's something that is not, a person would not say, ve'ein matzniyin kamohu, buch shelazev yitzniyo. But one person, a specific person wants it and hid it. Another person came and carried it on Shabbos. So our Mishnah didn't say that. Our Mishnah said only the person who carries it, who's machshav it, is chayiv. Here, according to Rav Shimon Elazar, as long as one person in the world is machshav it, if somebody else carries it, you're already going to be chayiv. So our Mishnah is not like that sheep. Mishnah, we're going to continue with this concept of how much do you have to carry on Shabbos to be chayiv. Hamotzi tevin kimlo pipara. Person carries straw that would fill a cow's mouth, and that's because that's enough for a cow. Latza kimlo pigamo. Or if he carried, this is another kind of straw for a camel, which is more, it's a bigger shear. Amir kimlo piplet. Amir is another kind of animal food. Rashi says kashin shel shibolim, straw from wheat kernels, and that's to fill a sheep. Asavim kimlo pigidi. If you carry grass in order to fill the mouth of a goat, or ale shumba ale bitzolim, leaves of garlic or leaves of onion, lachim. Now that's human food. So if they're moist, this could grow gross. It's the size of a fig. Yiveshim, and humans don't eat dry garlic or dry onions. That would be fed to a goat. So if you carry kimlo p'kidigi, so these are the shiurim that would make you chayiv if you carry this amount. And David starfin zem zeh. You can't mix like a half of tevin for a para with a half of otzah for a camel. Those are different shiurim for each. They're not equal in their shiur. So first the Gemara wants to know ma otzah. What's otzah? Amrav Yehuda tevin shalminei kitnias. It's straw from legumes, and I guess that's what was used to. The camels would eat that. So you carried out enough straw to feed a cow, but you had in mind that would normally make you chayiv, but you had in mind to feed a camel, which it's not enough shear to feed a camel. Rabbi Yochanan Omar chayiv. Rabbi Yochanan says you're chayiv. Reish Lakish Omar potter. Reish Lakish said you're potter because you didn't have the right shear. We'll have to understand Rabbi Yochanan. Be'ur Tom Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Rabbi Yochanan had said he's chayiv in the morning. Letzafra in the evening, Other Bay already changed his mind. Rav Yosef, Shapir Ovid Dahadar. He did good that he changed his mind. How could he have said that it's chayiv? The amount of straw that he carried is not enough for a camel. If he had in mind for a camel, he's got to take out the right food for a camel, the right shear for a camel. Abaya Adrabah. Abaya says just the opposite. Pumfakir. Kidimi Ikorim discovers makes more logic to hold like what Rav Yochanan said that you were chayiv. The Chazi Lapara, he carried out something that would be roy to feed a para. Why shouldn't he be chayiv? Elo Kios Ravin Omar Amotzi Tevin Kimlo Pipor Lagamol Dukulam Lo Pligidachai. If you carry out amount of straw to fill a cow's mouth, so that's a shear. So even though you had in mind to feed a camel, it doesn't make a difference. Ki pligi, where's the machlokes? The motzi atza, right? Atza was camel food. Kimlo pi para la para. Now, normally a cow doesn't eat that. So, but you took out the amount to fill a cow's mouth, but it's not something that the para normally eats. And ipcher atma, the ipcher itmar, and the halacha is just the opposite. Rabbi Yochanan Amar here potter, Reish Lakish Amar chayiv. Rashi says the halagamol the chazi they leka shiura. The atza, which is a food for a camel, there's not enough shear for that. And the imishum de l'tzorach parotziu ulegaboik shear, but you had in mind for the para, and you have enough shear for the para, but the para normally will not eat this unless he has something else to eat. And Rabbi Yochanan holds that achila yedei lav achilahi, an achila that he would only eat sort of in an emergency is not considered achila. Therefore, it's not a proper shear for the para, and that's why Rabbi Yochanan says para pot. Reish Lakish Amar Chai, because Rabbi Yochanan Amar pot achila yedei atchak lo shma achila. That since the para will normally not eat it, only eat it b'shas atchak, so it's not going to be chai. Reish Lakish Amar Chai, because achila yedei atchak shma achila. Listen, at the end of the day, the para will eat it. He's hungry, he's nothing else to eat, he'll eat it. So since you carried out enough food on Shabbos to feed the para, you're going to be chayiv, says Reish Lakish. Then the Mishnah said, Amir kimlo pitla. That the Amir, which we said was kashin shel shibolim, the shear, which would trigger a chiv chatas for carrying, is if you carry enough to fill the mouth of a sheep. Vahatanya kagroiger. There's another brayso that says it's got to be the size of a fig. So we've learned now that a pitla is kagroigris. Okay. Then the Mishnah said, "Ale shum va'ale b'tzolim lachim." So garlic leaves and onion leaves, if they're moist, so human beings eat it, the shear is kagroigris. The yeveshim, if they're dry, human beings don't eat it. It's meant for animals. Kimlo piagdi. It would be the amount that you would put into the mouth of a goat. And a mitztarfid zemzem neshalo shalu b'shurein. And of course, if you had a half of this and a half of that, they're not mitztarf because one is for an animal, one is a human being. It's a different shear. When do we say it's not mitztarif? For the stringent part of a mitztarif l'kal shebehen. Rashi, misha shiru gadol, the shear that is a larger shear, like for example, the mouth of a camel is larger than the mouth of a cow, that's considered cow. Because you're allowed, it's a leniency, because you're allowed to carry more on Shabbos. That's why it's a cow. It will not be able to be, for example, let's say you only have 3/4 of the amount to fill a para and you want to be mitzaref this the camel food to that. No. But the opposite will work. The chashuv, the smaller shear, which is the amount to feed the para, will be mashlim esakala kashir. So teven, which is what is fed the cow, will be mitzaref im atza lahashlim pikam. But the atza mitzaref im teven lahashlim ole pikam. Amar Yossi bar Chanina, right? Mitzaref l'chamer shema, mitzaref l'kashmer. Freak the Gemara. How could you say that there will be mitzaref? That if you used the atza, no, we said if you used chashuv, it will be mashlim the cow. Freik the Gemara, how could you still say it's mitzaref? It's not the same shear. And I'll show you a proof from a different Mishnah. Ratnana beged. So we know that when a zav, who is a male, who has a seminal emission 3 times in one day, or so that will make him a zav, and therefore he is tummy for 7 days, and on the 7th day he goes to the mikveh, he has erev shemesh. On the 8th day he brings korbanos. A woman is also can become a zava if she bleeds 3 days in a row during the 11 days of her zivus bleeding. There's 7 days of nidus followed by 11 days of zivus. If she has 3 days in a row of zivus bleeding, she becomes a zava gdol. She has the same thing. She's tummy for 7 days. She has to bring a korban on the 8th day. The stringency of their tumah is that normally somebody who's tummy has to touch something to convey tumah. But a zav or a zav, if they sit down on a sofa and there is something else sitting on the sofa far away from them, and they don't touch it, but they sit on the sofa, that's called tumas medras. And the item that is on the sofa becomes tummy, even though they didn't physically touch it. Similarly, if there are 10 mattresses piled up, one on top of another, and the zav sits on the top mattress, so he's only in physical contact with the top mattress. But since that top mattress is resting on 9 other mattresses, all 10 mattresses become tummy. This is called tumas medris. It's a stronger tumah than tumas sheretz, for example, or tumas nevela. If you touch a sheretz or you touch kazayis of nevela, you become tummy. But if you put the sheretz on if you sit down on a sofa and the sheretz is on the other side of the sofa, you don't become tummy. It's only a special stringency by tumas medris. Now, in order to receive tumas medris, the thing that the zav sits on has to have a certain shear. So beged has to be a garment. Sometimes you sit on a garment. Shlosha al shlosh has to be at least 3 by 3 tefachim. The hasak, a sack made out of burlap, arba al arba, 4 by 4 tefachim. The or leather, chamisha al chamisha, has to be 5 by 5. Mapits, that's some kind of reed mat. Shish al shish has to be even larger. The Tani Allah, habeged ve'asak, hasak ve'haor, haor ve'hamafetz mitzarfin zeh b'zeh. So if you only have 2 by 2 of the beged, but you add some sock to it, there'll be its starfus. She'abeged mashlim shir sak. Right? Sak asui menutzer shalizir. The sack was made out of goat hair. Rav Shimon, matam. Why is there hit starfus for these things? Because all of these things you could sit on. It says Rashi in Tzirif Mishtan Yachad. L'tloy mardosh l'chamor. If you're going to use this for a saddle of a donkey, kishir linyan Moshe Vazav. In kotza Mishnah me have a tikin tefach al tefach leishal of netamile. Avatum Moshe Vazav the Tanya mixem and kulan tefach al tefach. Tami Moshe Raminan tam per kamad sukkah hoil v'roy litlos l'gabi chamor. Shiramak b'nemish mishnei minim. As long as you're going to use it to sit on, we don't care. There's its starfus. So the Gemara now analyzes the only reason there's its starfus is because they were roy to be sit on. So you see, there's no its starfus normally. Why? Because they have a different shear. Amar Rava, Chanami Chazi Ladugma. It means by these things, the straw, these animal foods, the sellers would pile up amounts from different kinds of feeds. to be able to show his customers that he's got, big piles. So since there were situations where they would be piled together, that's enough to say that there could be itstarfus as well, even though the shiurim are different. So that's why when we said the kal is mitzaref to the chamor, it can work even though the shiurim are different, because the sellers sometimes, as a dugma, will pile even the different items together. Mishnah. So up until now, we've been learning about animal food. Hamotzi ochlim kigroigres. So for human food, the shear is kigroigres, the size of a fig, of a dried fig. Chayv. When it's starting zem, they should shove b'shireh. All food, doesn't make a difference what it is, a piece of cereal, a piece of cheese, a piece of meat, whatever it is. If you have a half a groigris of this, half a groigris of this, it'll be itstarfus. Chutz mekli posa, but a banana peel or an orange peel and the garinehen, their seeds, the yoktseya and their stems, the suban umursnan. Suban or mursnan are that's what is left over after you sieve the wheat, right? The bran and the chaff. So all these excess things that are on top of the wheat kernel, you can't add them to the shear. Rabbi Yehuda Omer chutz miklipe adashim shemizbash lashim mohen. He says, but the covers of lentil beans that you can add together, because when you cook them, you cook the klipas are cooked with the lentils. It grows in that shell, and Rashi says lafuki klipa chitzon, like an orange peel or a banana peel, shein gadlus besocha, things that grow inside of it, which you get rid of in the goyret. But by the klipa adoshim, that sort of goes along with the food. Frank the Gemara of the Suban Umursan Lomit Starfin. What, the bran and the other the things that make the flour not white, that gets sieved off, like whole wheat is brown. Like whole wheat bread is brown, but white bread is white. So all of that stuff is removed in certain preparations, except if it's whole wheat or cracked wheat, whatever. So that's whatever is removed in getting white flour. That's the subin and the mursnan. Why do you say the subin mursnan is not mitzvah vatnan? Chameshes revoim kemach v'od chayavim b'chaz. A certain shear, you need five quarter cobs, 5/4 cobs of flour. That's why the ladies, when they bake challah, they make a big dough, because to be chayiv challah, you have to have a fair amount of flour. 5 times 1/4 cob, so it's 5/4 cob. Mafresh challah, hain the subin umorsnan. Now there, when we add up the amount to calculate the 5/4 cob, we do include the subin and the morsnan. So why don't we say that if there's a starfus? That regarding challah, we do add that because the ani will make bread. The ani doesn't care about pure white bread. He'll make bread from anything, black bread, brown bread. So therefore, for Otzos Shabbos, so for challah, it can be used, but for carrying on Shabbos, it's a smaller shear. It's chashivus advar. It's got to be a meichel that most people will eat. Only the oni will eat it. this with the subin and the morsman. But then Rabbi Yehuda said there's an exception. The klipe of the adashim, of the lentils, will be added because they're amizbashlosimoi. Adashim in, lentils, yes, pulin lo, but beans, no. So the coverings of beans are not mitzvah. There is a version of Rabbi Yehuda where he included poilin, which is beans. Loi kasha ha becharati ha be'atiki. In the fresh new beans, the outside is mitzaref. If it's dried and old, it's not mitzaref. Atiki my time a low. Why? People don't like it because it looks like you're eating flies with your lentil beans. So if they're old, you got to get rid of that. People got rid of that. It's the smokes, and everybody throws it away. So therefore, that would not be mitzaref to the shear of carry. Hadron alach klav gadol, hadron alach klav gadol, hadron alach klav gadol. Remind me that at some point when we can all get together again in person, we have to have a siyum of Masechta Brachos, which we were never Messiah. Right. We'll have to do that. New Perek Shmini. So if you notice, carrying on Shabbos is very specific. Each item that you carry has its own shear. So we went through the various animal foods. What's the shear that's going to trigger a chiyuv? We talked about now human food. What's the shear? What about wine? Remember, in the time of Chazal, their wine was very strong, and they would dilute the wine with water. So the amount of wine is the small amount. The shear is going to be just the amount of yayin chai, which is the natural wine, which is very strong. It's not going to be. That's the shear for carrying. How much you would put in a regular kos, and then you would add water to it. So whatever that amount of wine before you add the water to it, that's the shear of carrying. We'll see. Shulchan Aruch says, Rambam says, Rova Revius. It's a quarter of a Revius of a lug. Chalav Kedei Gmiya.
Enough for a swallow, it says here.
Okay, well, we don't have a shear for that yet. It means, okay, for how much milk you can swallow in one swallow. Dvash kedeliten alakosis. The amount of honey, they used to put honey on wounds. So the amount of honey that you would put on a wound, that's the amount that you would be chayiv if you carry it. Shemen, kedei losuch aver cotton, enough oil to anoint with oil like a small limb, like your pinky finger. Mayim kedei losuch a kilo. This was some kind of a bandage for the eye. And they would put water in that. So the amount of water that you put to make this eye bandage, that's the shear. And ushar kolamashkim berevius, other liquids is revius halog. The kol shofchin is berevius. Any water that you would throw out, dirty water, whatever water that you would dump, it's also revius halog. Rav Shimon Amar Kulon berevius. Rav Shimon says all mashkim, including the ones we mentioned in the Reisha, the yai and the chalav, right, is all the revius. That means there are people, individual people, that are going to need a certain amount of this little amount of wine or amount of milk. Those are for individuals. But the regular shirim for everybody else, so for the average person, this small amount of wine or this small amount of milk or honey would not be chashiv, then the shir would be a revius. But somebody who would hide these small amounts for his own personal use, then we would follow those shiurim. Like Rashi says, shiurim shebe mishnah ela l'matznei levad. It's only for an individual. And if that personal guy who used that small amount takes out chayiv, but another person came in and took out amount of wine, that small amount of wine, chayiv. That somebody who's specifically going to set something aside for his own personal use, he might be chayiv even for smaller shear. Tana, so the Gemara says, "Kidem zigas kos yofer." The amount of wine. So you're going to pour the raw wine into a cup, and then you're going to dilute it. And what's the dilution? It's got to be a kos yofer. It's got to create a good kos. Now, my kos yofer, kos shel bracha. We're talking about a kos that's going to be used for a mitzvah. Kos shel bracha is like kos shel kiddush, right? A kos that was used by a bris milah, a kos that's used by a wedding, right? Any kos, that's a kos shel bracha. Rashi says, Birchas Hamozo. Shetzrichu chachamim liyafosom. Because you got to eat to, right? The minig was to put many small little cups around the main cup. And you have to wash it out special, and you have to rinse it out. It's got to be, and it's got to be a full kos. These are the dinim. Rashi says, Yain Chai Rovet Shel Revius Haluk. It has to be, so the Gemara says, so the ideal kosher bracha should start off with raw wine of a quarter of revius. So it was 1/4 wine, 3/4 water. And that's how you made a revius halom. That was the formula. 1/4 yain chai, and 3/4 water. And he learned the same thing. Okay. Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow.